reflexes like a mongoose on amphetamines. Waving his Wilson wand. Super scintillating and sensational from Sosa. It's tennis near the gods. No mortal may approach.
Welcome back to Tennis Near the Gods. I'm Alex, joined alongside my brother Nicholas. And today we're going to be recapping the first half of Roland Garros. All of the third round has been completed, and the first round of the fourth round has been completed. And we're just going to be going through the draw, recapping what happened, and then forecasting what's to come, given what has transpired this past week. So to start off, our four quarterfinalists that have already been punched tickets three actually: Nadal, Federer, and Stan Wawrinka. Kei Nishikori is still playing Benoit Paire, to be determined tomorrow. Nishikori leads 2-1. No surprise there with Nadal and Federer. Their draw, as we said from the beginning, was pretty straightforward. Never really were in threat there. Nadal actually did drop a set to Goffin in the third round, which was a little bit of a surprise, but again, he didn't win, so it doesn't matter.
And then just today, we saw Stan Wawrinka and Stefanos Tsitsipas battle it out in an epic 5-hour match. Wawrinka pulled it out 8-6 in the fifth set, and he's definitely going to be gassed for the match against Federer, and I see Federer moving through that.
I don't know about that. I disagree with that point. I don't think he'll be gassed. These guys are professional tennis players. Their job is to recover. He's got a full day to recover. I think if it goes into 5 sets, then yes, he'll be a little hampered there. But for 3 sets, I don't think so. And I think this is going to be an interesting matchup with Federer and Stan Wawrinka because they're such contrasting styles. I think because Stan plays so far back in the court and Federer on the clay has been, like he has done on hard court, stay on top of the baseline and try to rush the opponent off the court. And it'll be interesting contrast because Stan's been standing so far back, returning, and Fed will serve and volley a lot, but Stan Wawrinka will have time to unload. And I think it's going to be an interesting match. I said this before, I think the first really good clay quarter that was going to run into Federer, like he has in the previous tournaments, like George in Rome, like Monfils in Madrid. He was lucky to escape those matches, saving match points, etc. I don't think that luck continues in a best out of 5 set match. I think despite the 5-hour match, I think Stan Wawrinka wins. I really like the way he's playing. I like the way how he played against Christian Garing, took him to the woodshed, gave him no shot. His match against Dimitrov, 6-6-6, was an absolute war, but it showed that he was a better player. When it mattered most, he won the points. And the match against Tsitsipas today, credit to Tsitsipas because I thought he was done. I thought he was tired after the third set. I thought he was not going to make it, and he actually had he had numerous chances to break and go up the break.
He went 5 for 26 on break points. So
yeah,
it's so tough to win a match when you're.
No, it's not even that. So Tsitsipas had his opportunities, but Wawrinka has found his way through the tournament, and I think again the conditions have been warmer, so it would have been tougher. They're going to get colder, a little bit colder, but still, I think I like Wawrinka to be Fed. I really do, and I think Nishikori pulls it out against Paire.
And then I don't see much trouble for Nadal in that Kei Nishikori match.
Yeah, but so. Looking back on everything that transpired, we had Pierre-Hugues Herbert take out Medvedev, which wasn't much of a surprise. Medvedev's been teetering off after his scintillating form to start off the year. He's been looking a little burnt out in terms of his results, but that happens. He'll bounce back for sure on the grass and going into the hard court swing. And then you had Benoit Paire, who won 2 titles this year on clay, both 250s. I saw him making the 4th round and playing Nishikori, which he did. He played incredible tennis this week. Very inspired. He was focused, which was a big thing for him for basically every single match. Yeah. This Nishikori match that has gone on, he does have a day to think about what happened. He looked in his poorest form in this match so far against Nishikori that he's been in the past 2 weeks because he played phenomenal in Lyon. Another surprise throughout the draw was Londero made it to the fourth round. He beat Basilashvili.
And that's his first Grand Slam main draw appearance.
Yes, and then he played Corentin Moutet in the third round, who upset Guido Pella, which was another surprise, but a young Frenchman who's coming up playing in Roland Garros is likely to do well.
And you also saw Jan-Lennard Struve take out Shapovalov, which was not a surprise there, but then he upset Borna Coric 11-9 in the fifth set, and he's moving on to play against Novak Djokovic for a spot in the quarters.
Staying in the bottom half, though, another upset was Nico Mahut beat Marco Cecchinato. Cecchinato made the semis last year, drops out in the first round. So that's a lot of points. He loses 720, I think, something like that. So he's going to drop to 40 in the world, as we said. So that was another shake-up in the draw, and that allowed Leonardo Mayer, who took out Schwartzman, to make the fourth round. Another big thing was for Dimitrov. I know he lost in the third round to Stan Wawrinka, which mimicked he lost in the third round last year, so he doesn't gain any points. He's going to stay where he is in the rankings about. But his win against Cilic was a big one. He was down 2-1 in that match, teetering on the brink of going out. And I think that could be a good jumpstart for the rest of the year to try to get a little produce more positive results. And then another upset that I think probably had something to do with Tsitsipas's fatigue in this match, even though it didn't seem to necessarily.
It only really affected him in the third set, I felt like.
Yeah, he got tired in spots, but in the fifth set, I thought that was all adrenaline. Adrenaline was the Krajinovic. Krajinovic took him to 4 sets, 7-6 in the fourth.
But in that match, you saw Stefanos was just the better player in the big moments, and I felt like even though Krajinovic was playing really well, his backhand's incredible. Tsitsipas just commanded the court just too well.
Yeah.
For Krajinovic to handle it.
So now we're going to move up to the top half of the draw, where you have Kachanov playing Depotro, and then Thiem playing Monfils, and then Zverev playing Fognini, and Struve playing Djokovic.
So you've got two big men, Juan Martín Del Potro and Kachanov facing off against each other. Both won quite easily in their third round matches, so I'm going to take Del here.
I think when you look back at this draw and you see Kachanov had a great draw just to get matches under his belt. And same with Del Potro, except Del Potro ran into some trouble with the Nishioka match. That was a 5-setter. He's not 100% right now, Del Potro. That's the only worry coming into this match. And Kachanov has increased his level match to match to match. So even though I originally saw Del Potro moving through, I'm going to actually take Kachanov. I think Kachanov is improving. He had a very tough start to this year. It's persisted almost up until this point. He's gotten some wins, but he's been struggling. I think this week really helped him, getting 3 wins under his belt, making it into the second week of the major, and knowing that Depotro is not 100%. I think Kachanov wins the match. I do. I think he'll be able to find his backhand. Del Potro's not moving at 100%, so that is a big worry for Del Potro. Kachanov plays aggressive, so finding his backhand, he can do it. He has a big serve, so that's something, and he can grind a little bit too. I think Kachanov beats Del Potro.
And then moving up, you see Monfils has not dropped a set thus far, while Thiem has gone to 4 sets in each of his 3 matches against Tommy Paul. Tommy Paul played an incredible match.
Yeah.
He's one to watch in this summer. And then you saw Boblik take a set off him, and then as well Pablo Cuevas.
So you look at this Thiem Monfils matchup, and Thiem has beaten Monfils. I think his record against him is 5-0. And something like Monfils has withdrawn against him 3 other times too. So, but going into this tournament, you're like, okay, Monfils, if there's going to be one last year where he has a shot to make a run, I'm not saying he's not, but to do well in the French Open, this is, I would say, is his last year where I'm going to be like, I think he can pull off a run. And he's been very, not focus is not the right word, but he's played within himself.
Methodical.
Exactly. He hasn't he hasn't gone into the full push mode, which he can do because he's such a phenomenal athlete, where he just plays the ball in the middle of the court, plays defensive neutral, and just waits for the guy to miss because he's such an athletic specimen. But he's also hasn't teetered over that edge of using so much of his power where he can't control it. And Team has not looked great. He's been, as you said, four sets. He's won in 4 sets, all 3 of his matches. His first round, he should have dropped the 3rd set.
He went down 4-0
in that breaker. The Cuevas match, Cuevas a great clay quarter. I thought that was going to be a 4-set match, but Team is just the better player. I think Monfils wins this Team match. I really do.
I was going to take that as well.
I had Team in the semis, but Team hasn't been convincing so far on the clay, and Monfils has looked locked in. And methodical is the word you use, but
and
that's
I think
the perfect
Team has
way.
Something to lose.
Exactly.
Making the finals last year.
Team semied it 2 years in a row, and then finaled last year. He's been, if not this, he's been heralded as the second best clay quarter behind Rafa Nadal, and Monfils is coming in. He's playing. It's going to be on Philippe Chatrier. He is playing for something, and in front of a crowd that will be fully behind him. Mm-hmm. And I think he's a showman. I think he shows up and wins that match. He sees the draw below, and I think he definitely believes he has the ability to make the semis, if not the finals. I think he believes that he is the best player in this quadrant. And we'll move up now. You have Fognini Zverev. Zverev has just been plugging away through his draw. He had a 5-setter in the first round and another 5-setter in the 3rd round against Dusan Lajovic.
And it can't feel good to lose 2 love set leads against Millman and Lajovic. You kind of just want to put those guys away. So
Zverev, he said in his press conference, he's trying to be very positive about all these matches because, I mean, it must be hard for him because he is not playing well. He is drifting further and further back in the court, as I said, which is where he struggles. That's where he gets pushed around a little too much. He needs to use his 6'5", 6'6" frame and command the court more. And I think Fognini beat him in Monte Carlo. I take Fognini here. Even though Fognini has played a bunch of close matches. I don't know if the Seppi was a 4-setter, but Delbonis was 4 sets. Bautista Agut was 4 sets.
The closest match was against Bautista Agut. I thought Bautista
and
Agut played a
Fognini
solid match there.
is a gamer. He shows up when it matters. He shows up for the big matches. He does not shirk. And I think he wins this match just because Zverev's been dropping back in the court. Fognini has the confidence on clay. He's won Monte Carlo. And
he only has 2 losses on clay since Monte Carlo.
Yeah, so I see Fognini winning this. I don't know whether it's 3 sets or 4 or whether it's not.
Take 4.
I don't see a 5-setter. I don't see straights. I'll take 4 sets as well. But you look at the way he's handled his draw. He has been methodical, which is not something you'd normally say about Fabio Fognini. It has not been like, oh, I'm worried about him in the first 3 rounds, his focus, which it has been in years past. You're like, okay, Fognini's coming in. He's locked in. He's the 9 seed. He's played a phenomenal clay court swing and played each match. He hasn't tanked or not showed up in a match thus far. And then we'll move up to the draw where you see Struff against Djokovic, which is an interesting matchup because Struff, as Nicholas said earlier in the year, and I've picked up too, Struff is someone who's flown under the radar. I thought his match against Shapovalov, the 20th seed, was not an upset. And even against Coric, wasn't that big of an upset. Coric hasn't been playing great tennis. I thought Coric was actually going to beat Struff, but
it really could have gone either way.
It could have gone either way.
In the 5th.
Struff really combines his. He's a phenomenal doubles player, but he combines his power with finesse as well. He's a great transition player. Comes to the net well, but at the same time, he can bludgeon you from behind the baseline.
On both sides.
He's got massive ground strokes. He's played Nadal very close. He played him 5-5 in Barcelona. He plays well on the clay. He's got a great serve. So I think the matchup against Djokovic, who has been in phenomenal form, he's not messed around at all. Uber focused, especially for the first for the first couple rounds of a major where you've seen him maybe not be 100% locked in. He is locked in from the start. His match against Hubert Hurkay, which I thought was going to be a test and a very tough first round to have, he made Hurkay just bail from course. He was too tough there. And I kind of see the same thing happening with Struff. Struff has a little more variety, a little more stuff to throw at Djokovic, but I think it's pretty straightforward. I don't see.
I think Djokovic is going to make it very straightforward, but then again, if he isn't at 100%, which I think he definitely will be, Struff could take a set.
Yeah, but I see Djokovic in straights. I see Djokovic going over Fognini just because of the focus thing. Djokovic is the better player there.
He's the better player.
And too solid and can defend what Fognini throws at him, if anything. And then I actually see a Monfils Kachanov quarterfinal. And I'm going to venture and say Monfils makes the semifinals. I think this is the year.
I agree with you there.
Just because of the focus level. It seems heightened. He's playing within himself, and he's got so many extra gears that he has if he needs them. The defense, he has the offense. His movement is a threat to the opponent. It makes you overplay.
And this is a great year to make the O2. He's had an incredible beginning of the year.
I mean, I don't know about that. He doesn't play enough tournaments throughout the year because of his body. I don't think it can hold up still. So when I look at the draw, I see a Wawrinka Nadal semifinal, and Nadal is just too tough there.
Nadal. Ooh.
Yeah.
I see Fed going through and then Nadal
taking him out.
I
would love to see Federer Nadal on clay, so I'm kind of hoping for that. But I think Wawrinka, even though he had an absolute 5-hour war, I think he bounces back. I mean, he's played those matches against Djokovic in the Australian Open, which have been, I mean, how do you recover from that? And he ended up winning the tournament, so I think he recovers fine and wins that match. And I don't think he gets past Nadal because it's just the one-hander. Nadal is just going to whip him off the court.
And then in the finals, I see Novak Djokovic taking out Rafael Nadal.
You're switching? I'm gonna stick to my guns. I really, even though Djokovic has looked the better of the two to start off the week, I think Nadal just will continue. He hasn't been phenomenal on the clay this year, but he's improving. He'll improve match to match, and it's Roland Garros. He's the favorite, and I think he plays to that. I think it's going to be a war. I don't think it's going to be very straightforward because Nadal isn't in the top form.
I think we'll go to 5.
But I don't think the way Djokovic played him at the Australian Open, where Djokovic made him red line, and I've never seen that before in Nadal, I don't think he can do that on the clay. There's no way. There's too much time for Nadal. He's too comfortable. He'll be settled in. I don't think Djokovic will be able to take him out of the comfort zone and do quite what he did there. I do think it will be tight match. It'll be a war, but I see Nadal still taking it. All right, thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. We'll be back at you guys next week around Sunday night to recap what happened in the second week of Roland Garros and previewing what's to come in the grass court swing. Thank you so much for listening.